throw, swing. There it is! There it is! Get out! Get out! All right! Hit number 4192. Swing on and miss. And Tom Browning has pitched a perfect game. And a high fly ball, center field. He hit it a ton. It's gone. And the 2010 Central Division Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds. And Homer Bailey has pitched a no-hitter.
You're listening to the Redlegs Radio Report with Jason and Todd on Bowling Green's home of the Reds, ESPN Radio.
Good morning, Bowling Green. I've wanted to do that for years, and I may regret it later in the show because, you know, I just killed my voice this early on a Saturday morning, Todd, so I don't know. I'm no Robin Williams doing Good Morning Vietnam, but really, it's almost not fair to do that because we have other stations listening to us, other towns listening to us as well. Of course, ESPN Radio 102.7 here in Bowling Green, and also Glasgow's new 104, The Score. So maybe next week I'll do Good Morning Glasgow. That's harder to kind of... I don't know. It didn't go over that well. I've been thinking about it. Talk to me about 45 minutes into the show when I'm like... Jason Harbison and Todd Smith with you here on this wonderful Saturday morning. Talking Reds on the Redlegs Radio Report. What a week it was. But before we get into all of that, Todd, we have... I guess it's safe to say this. Yeah. Todd's best friend coming on the show. Tom Hume will be on a little bit later, of course. Former Reds pitcher and coach, and really the guy that gave us this great soundbite.
Todd, I got your voice down.
It's always good to have him on.
Oh, if you've never heard us interview Tom Hume, and it really has nothing to do with us, it's more Tom Hume than anything. He's got such a dry wit humor about him, and he'll be coming on the show a little bit later. We have so many stories down through the years of things that he said to us, and that soundbite that I just played there was, I believe, the first time we interviewed him about 4 or 5 years ago, and I think Drew was in the studio with us sitting in, and of course, a lot of times when you hear us interview guests, we'll go around the room, and we're not dumb enough to think that they know the sound of our voice or can recognize us, and especially when you're on a call, you're on a cell phone, so we'll go around and just like kind of take turns and be like, all right, Tom, this is Jason again, blah, 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 here's my question. Drew would say, hey, this is Drew, wanted to ask you about the 1980 team, you know, and then Todd, we came back around to Todd, and you said, hey, this is Todd again, Tom, and he goes, Todd, I got your voice down. There's no denying it.
He's wild.
Yeah.
I like to, and funny.
Yeah. But it comes off kind of dry a little bit, and it's just that dry wit, and it's really quick that you don't realize. But then when you're around him, like if you ever get a chance to be around him at Reds Fest or the times he's been on Reds Caravan, he's been hilarious. But you got to tell him about, we brought this up last year. This didn't happen this past Reds Fest, but the Reds Fest before when we were on stage, and I was talking, and then somebody... I tell her about it, yeah.
Someone was yelling, Todd! And this is loud.
Yeah.
You know, it's going out all over the Duke Energy Center.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Because I thought, you know, somebody from Bowling Green.
Yeah, some goofball fan followed us up to Cincinnati, and it's like, hey, it's a Redlegs
Saw me up
report,
there on
guys.
stage, like, hey, let me yell at him. And I'm like, what is going on? So Jason's, continues. I turn around, and it's Tom yelling from halfway across.
Yeah, and to kind of drive that in a little deeper, so the players get kind of escorted around, and it's actually by the ushers from Great American Ballpark. They call them kind of their handlers. So they take them from the green room upstairs and kind of walk them through. And it's really it's not to like keep fans from it is really to keep fans from mobbing them, because they've got to get from point A to point B, and they've got to maybe go to the kids' photo booth where they're taking photos with the kids, or maybe they got to go to a different autograph line where they're giving out autographs, and the ushers don't want them stopping in the middle of kind of the midway there at Duke Energy Center, because there'd be if they stop in the middle of it, then there's going to be a line of people wanting autographs, and it's not officially at one of the booths where it can be controlled and they can have a line there. So usually you don't see a lot of the players stopping there.
Everything moves quick. I mean, because they're on schedules, and if they get held up too long, everything's going to fall apart.
Yeah, it's
quickly.
going to bottleneck. So I believe it was. I don't know if it was Phil Castellini or if it was Bob Castellini or Dick Williams, somebody really important in the Reds front office, if not the owner of the Reds. I don't think it was either Phil or Dick Williams.
I think it was Dick Williams.
Yeah, so it was pretty important, so we're trying to get some insider information. And I actually, as after I asked the question and I lean over to Todd, kind of cut my mic down so it wouldn't go out over the recording. And I said, who the heck was that? And you just in a deadpan face go, Tom Hume. And I was just dumbfounded. I don't even know if I remember my next question, because we have to sound somewhat smart, which I know for anyone that's ever listened to this show, you're like laughing right now about that. But it was just one of those moments that I had after the interview was over. I had to kind of take Todd aside. I'm like, you said Tom Hume. Did you accidentally say that? And you're like, no, it's Tom Hume.
No, it's actually Tom Hume.
I think we have a picture too that our good buddy Scott, because he's kind of the behind-the-scenes guy there at Reds Fest, he's kind of bringing the guests out from behind stage and bringing them up and telling us, because we know about 2 seconds before they come on stage, we'll be like, okay, Nick Senzel's coming up next, Jesse Winker's coming up next. And he actually got a picture of this like dumbfounded, I'll have to look it up and tweet it again, but there's like a dumbfounded look at Todd looking to the side while I'm asking a question. I think it was the very moment that Tom Hume screamed out your name. So, anyway, Tom's coming up a little bit later on the show. Speaking of Scott, I want to give a big shout out. Our good buddy Scott Smith had a death in the family this week, so big shout out to Scott. He's a pivotal part of this show. He hasn't been on this season, of course, because kind of the shortened season, but he's been on in years past. So thoughts go out to Scott, and if you're of the praying kind, definitely give Scott some prayers going out for the loss in his family. So we're thinking about you, buddy. This past week was an interesting week. We are at the halfway point, Todd, of course, of the shortened 60-game season. This week, just to kind of recap, took 2 of 4 from the Cards, lose another 2 to the Brewers, and basically fall apart in that game Tuesday. Then Wednesday, in response to the shooting of Jacob Blake in Kenosha, Wisconsin, of course, because they're playing the Brewers, both teams decided to not play. Of course, you heard all about that, as well as a lot of the NBA, WNBA teams, and NFL practice games, I guess, if you will, were postponed on that. And I believe last night there was also some more postponement between Houston and Oakland, where they actually went out there and had, of course, the Jackie Robinson jerseys that they laid down in both sides of the batter's box, and then a Black Lives Matter shirt in the center. So we'll touch on that a little bit later. But then Thursday swept a doubleheader from the Brewers. So, Todd, the Reds are now 14-17, 4 games out, 2 out of the playoff spot, halfway through the season. What do you make of it? Is it time to panic? Or have they turned things around in just this 3 games here? I know it was just a Thursday doubleheader. I say just, but I think they're showing signs of life.
Well, I hope so. Often, especially the last couple of years, it looks like they're going to make some headway, and then, they, play 3 or 4 games under 500 for a streak. Mm-hmm. I think they're in it, but I don't know about this team. It just... something's off.
They have so many. I know we said on this show, and we talked to each other a lot off air, that all of the moves they made in the offseason, especially going out in the free agent market, you got Moustakas, you got Castellanos, all of those moves that they made, I think on paper everybody's like, yes, this is the team. They have got the bats. They've got the bench, probably one of the best benches they've had in a long, long time for the Reds. And I'm even going past like the 2010 and the 2012 season where they had guys like, Johnny Gomes or whoever coming off the bench. But something about the bullpen. We'll get into that a little bit later.
They need some bullpen help. Mm-hmm. Not having Votto on the top of the lineup helps.
So that's interesting. We can talk a little bit about that, and I'm sure, Todd, you could do an entire show on this. But Votto was benched in Thursday's doubleheader, and again last night due to bad performance. This was purely performance, not injury-based. And he was also tossed Tuesday, and he said yesterday in an interview that he said he understands that in his subpar, especially defense. Now here's something interesting, too. he wants to get some reps in. He understands what's going on. He wants to get some reps in at Prasco Park and possibly play like maybe an afternoon game over there, which is essentially the minor leagues, and then come over and try to prove himself at a game that night with the Reds. So, your thoughts on, I already know your thoughts, Todd, but tell everybody about, Votto not being in the lineup.
Is he going to go over there and swing the bat?
Yeah.
Or is he going to stand up there and argue balls and strikes?
Mm-hmm.
How's that going to help? If you're going to do that, you can do it at the major league level.
Yeah. I wondered really, him getting tossed out of that game on Tuesday night, he was basically, if I remember correctly, he was walking back out to his position, said something to the ump. The ump immediately turned, kind of tossed his finger up towards the press box there and said, you're gone. And then also Bell came out and argued as well. He got tossed. And it kind of happened during a commercial break, so you had to kind of watch it and replay. But I think his frustrations have boiled over. I wonder how much of Bell benching him had to do with that as well, getting thrown out of the game for lipping off. And there's something to be said. He hasn't been in the lineup, and you got some guys that are kind of, I don't want to say coming out of nowhere, but you got Moose played first last night. You got Davidson who's filled in, who is swinging a very hot bat for a guy coming off the bench, especially against left-handers. So there's a lot of guys stepping up right now, and I hate to say that Votto wasn't missed last night, but he wasn't missed at all.
Well, I think it's bad for the team in the way he carries himself at the plate, especially towards the young guys. A lot of these guys, they know what they're doing, but
right.
The young guys, you don't need to stand up there and take close pitches and argue with the umpire all night.
Yeah.
And in the leadoff spot, go 0-for-4 with 4 strikeouts.
Yeah.
This is not anything new. This has been going on for a couple of years now. He has no business in the top 3 of the lineup.
Yeah, and then
if he's got to be in there, he should be 7, 8.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. If he's got to be in there, put him down lower, and maybe that's what Bell should have done instead. And I'm not saying that he shouldn't have benched him, but maybe that would send more of a message than benching him for a couple games.
And also, not just offensively. Let's not kid ourselves. He's not that great defensively. He's,
right.
Makes mental errors out there, and he's never been, that great in the field.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's what he was saying too in the interview. In the interview yesterday, he was saying, "I realize that I've got a lot to kind of live up to." And he actually used the term subpar defensively. So he knows it, but is he going to do something about it? Hopefully, that maybe a couple days rest. Now, of course, there's a doubleheader today, so the chances of him sitting through another doubleheader are probably slim to none. Just to kind of recap on that. The doubleheader starts at 3:10 Central, our time today. 2 really good matchups. Game 1 is Darvish versus Bauer. Although Bauer got knocked around a little bit this week, there's a guy that's really been kind of a tent pole for you, if you will, for the Reds in their starting rotation. Game 2, Alec Mills versus TJ Antone. TJ Antone's been one of those guys that's kind of either come out of the bullpen or done these spot kind of starts whenever there's either been an injury or anything that's been going on like that. So those will be 2 interesting games today. Do you keep him out of both? I know your opinion already, Todd, but do you keep Votto out of both games, or just kind of put him in there when you can, or what?
If it's me, I'm probably play him in one game and hit him 7th.
Yeah.
And set him out of the other one.
Well, because you were saying too off air that if you think about who's in since there's a DH. You think about who's like in the 8 or 9 spot. It's usually the catcher, whether it's Casale or Barnhart, although Barnhart had a decent night last night. I believe they're both hitting like 180, 190, something like that. I don't have the stats in front of me. But when you're trying to turn over your lineup and you got Joey Votto, like you said, at the top of your lineup, there's almost 2 outs there. If he's trying to watch these pitches and get his on-base percentage up, then who knows how far that's going to go. And actually, I know how far that's going to go. We've seen how it's not been productive these past couple weeks.
Yeah, well, swing the bat.
Yeah. It's not that hard.
On base percentage is, one thing, but, if runners need to be moved, whatever needs to happen, swing the bat. He just won't do it. And he takes pitches that are too close and gets rung up.
Yeah. Well, now here's somebody that is swinging the bat. Winker is hitting .341, 9 home runs. He had a big one again last night, still killing it. That's 9 home runs in 16 games. Now, he also leads the NL in slugging percentage at .716. Winker is just seeing the ball, like you were saying off air, Todd, like it's a beach ball.
Yeah. He can hit.
Yeah. I mean, we've always known that he can hit given the consistent playing time. And a lot of people were worried, of course, with the COVID not outbreak, but with the COVID shutdown that the Reds had 2 weekends ago. And then going into, of course, the kind of the protest game this past Wednesday, they're like, that's going to kind of ruin his momentum. Hasn't missed a beat. Just seeing the ball, hitting it like he's got an ironing board up there. I mean, it's just amazing what he's been doing.
So what do you think about the DH now? if it gets Winker in the lineup every day.
Yeah. Well, and he's also been playing out in the field too. But yeah, depending on the matchups and who's on the mound for the other team, Winker's either been DH or he's been playing left field. So,
and also considering the way the Reds pitchers bunt,
right, or lack of, yeah.
I mean, I like the National League. I like the traditional, setup, but pretty good having been able to have that extra bat in the lineup.
Well, yeah, and we could probably do an entire show on the lack of bunting or anybody hitting against the shift. But I digress, as I often say. Right here on the Redlegs Radio Report, we are going to take a break. Coming up after the break, we have got Todd's. Yeah. Again, yeah, it never gets old. We'll try to like shoehorn that in there. So yeah.
Todd, I got your voice down.
Tom Hume's coming up after the break here on the Redlegs Radio Report. Keep it tuned right here to ESPN Radio 102.7 and also ESPN Radio 1027.com.
You know, it just doesn't sound like summer without a coat. Now that's a good start. Maybe some sprinklers. Let's keep it cool. All right now, batter up. Ooh, how about a summer blockbuster? That's what I'm talking about. The sound of summer. Enjoy summer. Enjoy Coca-Cola.
And nothing makes summer taste sunnier than an ice-cold Coca-Cola paired with your favorite food and favorite people. So whether it's Taco Tuesday or you're grilling burgers, summer's not summer without Coca-Cola and your favorite foods enjoyed together. Coca-Cola, together tastes better.
One of the great things about little boys and little girls is when they grow up, they want to be just like you. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. So to moms and dads, aunts and uncles, and grandparents everywhere, remember this. The next time you get in the car and don't buckle your seatbelt, a little boy is watching. And when you decide to text or dial and talk while driving, a little girl is watching your every move. And when you head down the road with a beer or cocktail in the car, that little person next to you is taking it all in. In this life, you have an awesome responsibility to those children who love you the most and want to be you in every way. So make a pledge today to be a good role model to these kids and their friends so that that little boy and that little girl get to grow up and be just like you. Morgan & Morgan, for our children.
All cases handled by our Kentucky licensed attorneys.
So what's the deal with Big Green Egg Grills? Mike Keith here, letting you know if you're looking to grill, smoke, or bake on the highest quality grill out there, you need to see Bowling Green Fireplace and Grill. They have the Big Green Egg, #1 for over 25 years and with good reason. With a lifetime warranty and best-in-class ceramics, this thing is awesome. There are no chemicals in Big Green Egg Lump Charcoal. And Bowling Green Fireplace and Grill has the best price in town. Just off the bridge on Old Louisville Road. BowlingGreenFireplace.com.
Watching new movies on demand demands Poston Electronics. Now that Hollywood's skipping the theater, choose Postons for big picture, big clarity, and big screen sound at home. While the theater's closed, Poston Electronics renovated and expanded, bringing Southern Kentucky more at home and on the go. It's what they've done since 1974, just bigger. Forget tickets for the family. Think of what you'll save on popcorn. On Demand is here to stay. For your home theater, demand Poston Electronics across from Firestone on Broadway Avenue.
Welcome back to the Redlegs Radio Report. Jason Harbison, Todd Smith, with you as always this soon-to-be rainy Saturday morning in Bowling Green, Kentucky and surrounding areas of Warren County.
We doing the weather again?
Yeah, I know. Don't you love it? We have all these channels here next to us that do the weather, and we even have an ex-weather guy 2 stations down from us. But yes, the guys on the Redlegs Radio Report decide, hey, let's talk more about music and the weather instead of talking about the Reds. How crazy is that?
Tonight's forecast, dark.
All right, our guest today pitched 11 years in the majors, with 9.5 of those years being with the Reds. He's a former All-Star in 1982 and also won Fireman of the Year award back in 1980. He was also a Reds pitching coach in the late 90s and early 2000s. And, of course, he's also our 2018 winner of the Interview of the Year, voted on by the fans here in Bowling Green. Please welcome back to the show, Tom Hume. Tom, what's up, buddy?
Hey, probably my most prized possession is that little trophy you got me.
Now, we had Sam LeCure on last week, and he was I believe, the 2019 winner of our fan vote for interview, and we also gave him like a plaque or something. And we just always assumed, Tom, that when we hand those out, because if you were to sneeze, you would probably blow that trophy over that we gave you. I just assumed as soon as we kind of get out of earshot or whatever, those go in the trash can, and I don't think much about it. But then he was saying last week, oh, that's kind of on my mantle over there, and then you're talking about still keeping it. So.
That's right, sitting up there on my dresser up there. Heck yeah. I have to be reminded about all those nice, good things, that y'all have said, or the people and things like that. So, it's just kind of one of those things. Well,
that's good. Maybe next year we'll get you a larger award, so it maybe takes up a little more. Well, you'd have to dust it. I don't know if your wife would like that, or whoever dusts around your house. So maybe we'll keep it smaller. I don't know.
Yeah, just blow it off. Get one of those little blowers and just blow it off. It's not that much dust.
Or those little aerosol cans. So yeah, for sure. So Tom, enough tomfoolery for this 5 seconds. But you played in the strike-shortened 1981 season when the Reds missed out on the playoffs, despite having their best record. But due to win percentage, they lost out on that. Now, really, what correlations could you make with this 2020 just odd, short 60-game season, knowing that there will probably be some teams that maybe fall in the same categories the Reds did in 1981 due to having to go by win percentage due to some COVID outbreaks?
Well, I think the only thing different, I think there's a lot difference, actually, because we started out the season not knowing what was going on. And, then we played, and then all of a sudden, after our however many games, they divided the two, when we came back after the 52 days or whatever it was, then they were dividing into two different seasons, not seasons, but a first half, second half. And I think the thing about that is we lost both halves by a half a game. Mm-hmm. And so here we are with the best record and never made the playoffs. But I think what happens here is, they're doing the first 8 teams, I believe, or something like that, where the record comes into play, where it didn't come into play here. It was just who won the first half, who won the second half. Those 2 teams play, then that team is the one that's going to go to on to the playoffs, like a regular playoff. Mm-hmm. So I think that it's better with the percentage than it is with making 2 halves. 60 games is not a lot of games. We only played 99. We played 99 games, I think, that year. But it was, something that here we are stuck, best record in baseball, and we're not even going. And they're going to let us be second place, even though the first team and the third teams are going to play for to go to the playoffs. So I think that's where it's probably a better way to do it since you have it what it is, even though it's not a complete thing.
Hey, Tom, it's Todd.
Hey, Todd.
How's it going this morning?
Good.
I'm barely awake.
Well, I was too a little while ago.
Then some idiot texted you, giving you a heads up that you were coming on the show.
No. This is really a good time, actually. This will be the most awake I am during the day, so this is the best time.
Tom, there's really no blueprint for this odd 2020 season. What do you make of the fanless games, especially since you're a former relief pitcher that, might draw adrenaline off the crowd coming in from the bullpen?
Well, as a positive, there's nobody screaming at me telling me how bad I am. But I don't know. It just seems kind of weird. I mean, because on TV you hear, they have the background noise, but I don't know what it would be like to go out. It's been long enough, but I mean, you think about high school. It's not, or American Legion or something like that where you were playing and there was nobody there. There's only certain people there, but it's kind of hard to fathom that there is no noise. I don't know. I haven't been to a ballpark or heard. I don't know as far as maybe Sam was able to tell you what it sounds like. I'm not sure when he was on last week. But
well, yeah, he's been in the studio, so he hasn't actually been at the. But we did ask a similar question to him as well, and I was lucky enough. The first week I was actually up in Ohio and got to cover a game from the press box, and I can tell you, Tom, that it's just like an eerie kind of futuristic feeling, and the sound you don't actually hear. It sounds like kind of like a muffled kind of wave machine when you're in the press box, and it doesn't really sound like the crowd that you hear on TV.
Okay, yeah, it's got to be like quiet, right?
Yeah, it's just really, really odd and eerie. You hear everything that's happening, like the guys in the dugout. You can hear they were playing the Cubs at the time, and of course they're always kind of chattering like they were doing last night in the game. And you hear every yell from a manager or a coach going out to the field. You hear every time a ball hits a foul ball hits one of those plastic chairs or hits a tarp if it's a home run in the outfield. It's just really, really weird.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's taken a lot away from the game as far as a player is concerned, just trying to wait for a reaction. And the umpires probably like it because nobody's on. I mean, that's all they are is people getting on them. They're not yelling out there, good job or anything, But that's something that, I don't know. I've always thought that, but I'm glad I never had to witness it or be a part of it where I was involved of playing a major league game with nobody there, that was anything,
Yeah, it definitely takes that huge aspect out of the game, just really out of the equation. So I think it's something I'm sure a lot of the players this year have had to kind of get used to. And again, kind of back to Todd's question about a guy coming out of the bullpen. You think about Aroldis Chapman a couple years ago or, playing for the Yankees now, just kind of coming in there and the crowd's going nuts. You don't really have that. But then again, on the flip side of the coin, if you've got a starting pitcher that needs to kind of focus and just drown out all of the extra noise, it might be good for him.
Well, and I think another part of the game is when you're out there, you hear everything at the very beginning, but then most of the time you're just kind of locked down and you don't hear anything. But I mean, you hear the noise, but you're not involved with the people that are whatever yelling for you, against you, whatever it might be. I think that you just feel like I'm in the heat of the moment. I'm not really thinking about anything but looking at the catcher and the pitcher. I mean the batter, and trying to worry about what's going on elsewhere. Mm-hmm. So. Maybe, I don't know, maybe that's a thing that they get out there and they're not even paying attention to it.
Yeah, who knows, by the end of this...
The silence.
Yeah, by the end of this shortened season, it may just become commonplace. And when and if fans do come back, if it's later in this season or even the beginning of next season, it may be some, I don't know, getting back used to, if that's such a phrase. I don't know.
Well, maybe they'll just tell them that they're not allowed to talk or something.
Everyone has to sit on your hand. Well, it's kind of like watching a game in the press box. You can't cheer, you can't do all of those things. Yeah. So maybe it's like press box rules.
Is it always a rule?
Yeah. So even now. So you notice I said that I went up. I didn't take Todd because there was one time, Todd, that you and I went up, and I think one of the first times you forgot. Yeah. And there was I don't know, I forget who it was. It may have been Jay Bruce at one down the line. You're kind of like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to coax it down, in fair territory.
Yeah. And Rob,
you can't. Y'all, I know y'all know Jamie Ramsey.
Oh yeah, he's been on the show many times. Good buddy of ours.
There's no way that he's not saying something.
You mean saying something as in like cheering, or also looking at us and giving us glares?
No, like cheering, because when he puts on, there's all these things. Yeah, and all this.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he does it every time, then he looks around to see if anybody's looking at him. I don't know. He might be in a soundproof box, too, though.
Well, no, they've actually, I'm not trying to, this is your interview, and it's kind of ending up me giving you like all of these facts about Great American Ballpark, but they've changed the press box. It used to be kind of up there by the radio booth and kind of down from where the cafeteria is, but they moved it down the third base line. And they made it smaller just because when Great American Ballpark was built, there were a lot more newspapers covering it, and now there's only just like a handful of guys like C. Trent and maybe Bobby Nightingale Jr. that will cover day to day for like a newspaper or some kind of outlet. So it's a lot smaller, and they've redone this what used to be a suite down the left field line. And it's really nice. It's smaller, but it's more quaint, and they got a lot of nice amenities in there for the writing press.
So is it down the left field line or right field line?
I'm sorry, I said, the left field. It's down the left field line in like the 200 level, so it's actually behind third base.
Okay, gotcha.
So if you're visiting, maybe stop by.
Yeah, for sure.
But I
don't know when, but
well, now
there's a real season, I guess.
Yeah, when you can, right? When they let you in Great American Ballpark. So now, Tom, I'm not sure how close you've been following the Reds, because you were saying that you're out in Colorado with your family. You live in Florida and are back there for this week. But there's really on paper, if you look at what the Reds are doing, that they should really be unstoppable, especially with some of the acquisitions they made of Castellanos and Moustakas this offseason. But their big weakness might be the bullpen. And I guess just really, what are your overall thoughts on the team if you've had a chance to watch them a lot, or just anything that you can kind of as a takeaway for this short season already?
Well, obviously they say their problems with the bullpen. Guys are going through their struggles, and you got Bauer and Sonny Gray that's looking really good, and I think he's kind of the quiet leader guy, and then you have like last night, Molly's pitching, throwing good. He's been throwing good, but guys, excuse me, they I don't have a mute button. They, and Castillo, he's got it there. It's there. He just is. I think he's just still learning what he needs to do, throwing his pitches and things like that. And I know that Derek is working hard with them and, trying to get them back. And a lot of times, I think, not a lot of times, most of the time, it's just a mental thing. It's mentally doing what you're doing, because sometimes I'm not saying the pitchers on the Reds, but I think it's all over the board. And we've all done it, that pitched is taking for granted one pitch and not concentrate on the next pitch, instead of trying to mentally tire yourself out for every single pitch that you want to throw, because there's too many mistakes being made. And that's where the fact is that I don't think it's not because of their stuff they have or their pitches. I think it's because they're mentally not every pitch into what they're doing. They might be thinking of something else. I don't know. But, Mike Lorenzen's had he's had his struggles, but I think he's getting back on track. The last couple times out, he's been doing very well. But, and Garrett, he's a good asset to the pen, but being left-handed out of there. And it's just guys that they got to find the fit as far as what they're going on and what they need to do, and concentrate on that situation, knowing that when they're going to be in there. I don't know if I'm offline, talking about something like that. I'm just saying that to me, it's all their stuff is there. It's just that they have to remember how they got there. The things they did to make it to the major leagues, and don't try to do something more than what they can't do. If you understand what I'm saying. It's just part of the game that you kind of like have to back off. You know, you're trying so hard, but you have to back off to be able to, oh my gosh, that's what I did. I did this, I threw this pitch, I did that pitch. Even though they're all different hitters, each one of them has their spot, but you don't want to like try to throw, I don't know, the perfect pitch every single time. I mean, it's got to be your pitch, not their pitch. Sometimes you don't have to go, you know, to their weakness. You can go to their strong point. It depends on what they're hitting. You know, like Suarez has been struggling a little bit, and you know, Joey has been having his problems. But you know, these are really good hitters. These are good hitters that especially with the 60 games. I mean, you don't have time to really work out things, and they've always been able to come out of their slumps or come out of their whatever their problem is. They know what's going on. They know what's wrong, and then it's just a matter of them being able to adjust to what they can do. But they're all just such good players, and like you said, the acquisitions they've made, you know, these guys they know what the pressure is put on them, and maybe sometimes you just got to step back and go, you know, hey, I need to start over here, and not necessarily start over. I think y'all know what I mean, but it's more of you want to go back to how you got there. What did I do before that I'm not doing now? A lot of times it's like, okay, you're swinging up on this one, you're swinging down, you're swinging over, you know, there's so many things that going through people's minds that they're trying to watch the video and figure it out now. They don't have that. The reason they're trying to figure it out now is because they don't have the rest of those 120 games to figure it out.
Tom's Todd again. With the trade deadline coming up, you know, in this odd, short season, you know, the Reds, you know, maybe have a couple of weaknesses in the bullpen. What's your opinion on what the Reds should do? Should they make a push, you know, make some trades, or should they, you know, just hang on and wait for next season?
Well, Todd, I'll tell you what. I think that maybe. Okay, I'm playing. They don't. I don't know. I mean, this thing with the 8. I guess it's 8 spots, correct?
Yeah. So it's 4.
I still haven't figured that all out yet.
Yeah. So it's 14. Yeah, 14 playoff spots, right?
There's 14.
I think is it 14 or 16?
I think it's 16.
16. So yeah, 8 and 8. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
8 and 8. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know what they're out of. I think that they said they were like a half a game out of being in the playoffs right now, and they're still. I don't know how many games are left.
So they're 4 games out. 4 games out of first place in the Central, and they're a game and a half, I believe, out of a playoff spot.
Okay. Well, I mean, a game and a half is nothing, and it's almost like right now this season you're playing to play in the playoffs, and then you're building up to that. To me, you know, you want to get to the 8 teams, but because then it doesn't matter until you get to that whatever kind of tournament it is or whatever they're doing, how they're doing, you know, how many games they do in these playoffs. But I think they're in a position where they have good enough pitching. They have good enough pitching. They have good enough hitting. And that's what I was saying before. They just need these guys just put it on themselves too much to be able to, you know, go out there and just play the game, have fun. You know, they're professional players and hitters and pitchers that they know what they have to do. But I think that they're going to push. I think they're going to push to get in that spot and then go from there. I mean, I would think that anybody that's close to being a game and a half out of just being in playoffs is going to make a push. I don't see how you can hold them down with the pitching staff they have and the hitters they have. I just feel like that they're going to work that out.
Yeah, let's hope so, especially in this kind of, I don't want to say oddball, but it's definitely been a weird 2020 season. We're speaking, of course, with Tom Hume. I would like to call him a friend of the show, a show regular, if you will. We've had him on every year for the past couple of years. So now, Tom, your name came up in one of the broadcasts this week, I believe, Todd, it was Tuesday, maybe, where Jim Day and Chris Welsh brought up your name because they were reminded of Eric Sogard, who, of course, plays for Milwaukee. He kind of wears these glasses that are very kind of definitive, and they kind of define his look. And they were comparing your look back when you played with your glasses to Eric Sogard, and your name came up. Now, did your phone blow up as soon as that happened? Or were you watching the game? Or are you like, these guys are crazy. I don't look anything like Eric Sogard. I don't remember looking anything like him.
No, you know what? I really appreciate them at least thinking of me. How about that?
There you go. They didn't forget who you were, right?
That's right. I mean, Chris Welsh and Jim Day are really great friends of mine, and I think I miss playing golf with them and all that stuff, but they don't go on the road anymore, so it doesn't matter. But no, the reason I had them so big, I just needed all that area to be able to see what's going on around me. Oh, boy. I mean, it's everybody that I see. It's like, oh, my gosh, those glasses. But I still have them, though. I still have them.
Really?
I've actually worn them, and, I put them on when we had fantasy camp. And people don't even notice.
Really?
I mean, it's crazy. They don't even notice they're on. And then finally they're like, oh, my gosh. And then all of a sudden somebody will start laughing, like Danny Groves, But we're always teasing each other about everything. So, but I think it's just I'm happy they were thinking about me. Mm-hmm. So, I think about those guys all the time. They're really good friends.
Well, I don't want to say weird, but those were really the style back then. Todd and I are old enough to remember that those
we're
big.
Still going there?
those big over the size glass. Yeah, sorry, but those were the style. So people can make fun of them all they want, but everybody had them. Harry Carey had those big oversized glasses and stuff. So everybody can talk about bell bottoms look stupid back in the 70s, but I mean that was a style.
Yeah, that's where the cocoons. That's where they got it from me. They said, well, maybe we make something larger to go over for sunglasses.
Oh, that's awesome.
But there, heck, that's all right. I wore those when I first started playing. I wore the ones that were the photographs. They changed colors in and out.
Mm-hmm. So did you actually wear those? Yeah, we're still staying on this, Tom. Did you wear those in the field? I mean, was it hard? Like if there was a pop up back to the mound or something, would they change colors if you were looking up in the sun?
No. I mean, the big ones, they would always. I mean, of course, you guys are 20 years old and can't remember, but
I appreciate that.
I'd have to take my finger inside my lenses and clear them off. There was so much fog in there.
Well,
they were they're like goggles. They just close your whole eyeball up.
To be fair, it got very humid in the summers in Riverfront Stadium because, it was just this big donut kind of bowl, and the heat would just kind of get down in there. I mean, we've heard stories from interviewing guys over the years that, they're coming off of that turf. I mean, that their cleats would almost be melted just because of all of the heat coming out of there, and I'm sure the humidity was the same way.
Well, Bernie Stowe used to, when those guys came out the field, they'd have, these little flat things, like those Rubbermaid things, full of ice, and guys would stand in there, and then Bernie would have also that y'all know from being in the country down there, they used cabbage.
Cabbage, yeah. Put that under your hat.
Put it on their head,
yeah, to
cool them off. These big leaf cabbage, and then that's a true story. But,
yeah.
I'm just kind of it was hot. Everybody thinks Florida's hot, but that Midwest gets hot during the summer too.
Oh yeah, there were many times I remember, as a teenager going to the games at Riverfront, and it was just so stinking hot because that heat would get down inside of there and just kind of swirl around a little bit, and it was just like an oven at times.
Always there. Philadelphia. I mean, those Pittsburgh, all those places.
Well, yeah, because those stadiums are pretty much the same back then, too. Like you were saying, Three Rivers, Veterans, and Riverfront pretty much on the same kind of cookie-cutter format.
Yeah, St. Louis was one of the worst. That was pretty hot there. But, it's just, different thinking then, different times, with the turf and everything. just a lot of different things have changed. I wish that it was a full season. Who knows? I mean, all this stuff that's been going on with the COVID and all that stuff. I mean, that's crazy. Crazy year. You're just, everybody's trying to cram something into, as we said, into so many games that, that every game, and not that every game is important when you play 181 or 162. I mean, but holy moly! I mean, golly, you got to be able to. Now they know every single game is on the line. And then the 2 7-inning games, that kills me. What's 4 more innings?
Right. And they're doing that again today. They've got another doubleheader coming up today.
I saw that. I mean, we used to play doubleheaders. They played doubleheaders just for the fun of it. I mean, now they're playing them because it's a necessity, though.
Yeah.
But they don't have to worry about cleaning out the stadiums when they have a day-night. They can just go ahead and play 2 games.
True, you don't have to get rid of all the peanut shells or anything like that. Hose it down, get ready for the next group, I guess, coming into the stadium.
Yeah, where there's, like 4 or 5 hours between the game. Now they're doing, it's like it used to be. It'd be 30 minutes between the games whenever the pitcher gets ready, and then we're going.
Yeah, definitely. Well, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you don't have, I don't know why they did it to 7. Well, I guess because the pitching. I don't know, but it's like a 100-man roster now. It seems like. I don't know. I don't understand. Back to the. Is it Praco?
Yeah, Prasco Park. Yeah.
Prasco. I mean, you can send them back there. You can bring them up to here. You can send them on this list and put them on that list. I mean, I don't know all the logistics of all that stuff, but it seems like there's a lot of players everywhere in case they get in trouble with somebody going down or something. Especially if they're in the middle of a game, I guess they can replace somebody the next game. They just call up the Mason and tell them to send somebody down.
Yeah, I mean it's literally that simple. I mean it's you put it in those terms, and you're exactly right. It's almost like they've got this arsenal just kind of waiting, this cavalry to come in.
But it's as you said, though, it's been strange. It's been a strange year, and especially like I'm sure it's really strange for the radio guys, Tommy and Cowboy, being able to just sit there and watch it on TV and then announce the game. That's got to be strange after you're watching the game the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for real. We've had both of them on the show, and even before the season started, we were joking with Tommy. It's like, when you're doing those away games, are you going to use like a little bat there and like kind of do a in the background, like they did back in the 20s? Maybe that would. I don't think they've done that yet, but we gave them that opportunity or that idea. We put it in their heads. Yeah,
they could slap that thing on it like 2 pieces of stick and slap them on the desk or something. That ball is out of here.
Oh, we've been talking with Tom Hume today, of course, former Reds pitcher and also Reds coach. Tom, we could talk for another hour with you if we didn't have to pay some bills and take some commercials here, sir. So thanks so much for coming back on with Todd and I here in Bowling Green, Kentucky. We appreciate it, sir.
All right, Jason. Todd, you take care now.
Okay, I'm going to take a nap now.
Oh, I thought you were already there.
Thanks for coming on, Tom.
Thanks so much, Tom.
All right.
We'll talk to you later.
You guys take care.
All right. Appreciate it, sir.
Thank you very much for asking me to be on, and hello to everybody, all 5 of you out there listening to me. And I appreciate it. Actually, I'm going fishing. I'm taking the grandkids fishing. So
nice.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
And it feels like I'm in Riverfront. It's about 100 right now.
Tom Hume, everybody. Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks.
All right. We'll see you. Never a dull moment with Tom coming on. Isn't that true, though?
He's funny.
Oh, my gosh. So funny. So we're going to take a quick break here on the Redlegs Radio Report. I got a little more show. We got a lot of Reds to talk about here on ESPN Radio 102.7 and ESPNRadio1027.com.
We finished all your paint and body work. Take a look.
Yeah, looks good. Let me take a closer...
Oh, no. Sorry, you can't.
Well, why not?
Social distancing. We require all clients to keep at least 6 foot away from our work.
What? No, I want to see it up close. Hey, is that paint uneven?
Sir, please. 6 feet.
Wait, a ding's still there.
Fellas, put another mask on this guy.
Avoid a social distance paint job at Gary Force Paint and Body Shop. iCar Gold Shop certified with a lifetime warranty. 311 Vanderbilt Drive behind the Scottsville Road Post Office.
Colton's Steakhouse and Grill is open. They greatly appreciate the support you've given them the last couple of months. Your Colton's family is looking forward to seeing you and serving you once again. Colton's is open, but with limited seating. As we enter uncharted territory, we realize this will be a challenging time for everyone. Your Colton's family can't wait to see your smiling faces eating peanuts and those hot, delicious rolls with honey. Colton's Steakhouse and Grill in Glasgow, Campbellsville, Radcliffe, and Bardstown. Now more than ever, we know what's at stake.
No pizza joint in Bowling Green makes more dough than Jets Pizza. No, literally. Jets makes all their Detroit dough daily. They make their own pizza sauce daily. Jets Premium proprietary mozzarella is shredded daily. All veggies are cut and chopped in-house. Yes, daily. Every Jets Pizza is a fresh premium pizza. And Jets Pizza has expanded its delivery area. Jets will deliver to Fountain Trace off Cemetery Road, Plano Estates, and the Summit off Nashville Road. Call 938-1001 for Jets Pizza delivery or curbside pickup on Campbell Lane in front of Lowe's.
Okay, gun owners, listen up. You love to shoot, so you have to check out Tetra. Don't settle for big, hot, uncomfortable earmuffs or foam plugs. Developed by 2 hearing doctors, Tetra Alpha Shield is the best sounding, most comfortable, and easiest to use, period. Tetra is more than a hearing protection, it's hearing perfection. Get your edge back, try Tetra risk-free for 30 days. Call now and mention SportsWeb and receive $100 off your order. 615-618-9904 or anytime at tetrahunt.com.
This Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame moment features a big day for a Reds team that liked to hit home runs. On Saturday, September 4th, 1999, the second-place Reds were in the middle of a weekend series in Philadelphia. The Phillies would hold the club scoreless in the first inning. That would be the only inning the Reds would not put a run on the board. As a matter of fact, home runs would be the order of the day, with long balls from Dimitri Young, Jeffrey Hammonds, Greg Vaughn, Aaron Boone, Pokey Reese, Brian Johnson, 2 from Eddie Taubensee, and in the 8th, the record setter from a hometown kid out of Hamilton.
And with 2 away, it'll bring to the plate Mark Lewis. 19 runs on 18 hits, 8 home runs. Reds scored 3 in the second, 1 in the third, 1 in the fourth, 9 in the fifth, 1 in the sixth, 1 in the seventh, 3 in the 8th. And they're still batting in the 8th inning. Now the 3-2 on the way. And there's another one. Long drive left center field. And that is 9 home runs the Reds have hit here at the Met tonight. They lead it 22-3. 9 home runs by 8 different players. It is 22-3 on a rather memorable night this Saturday, September the 4th at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. Wow.
This Hall of Fame moment is brought to you by the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame and Museum, presented by Dinsmore.
It is the Redlegs Radio Report. Jason Harbison, Todd Smith. I won't give the weather report this time, coming back from commercial, Todd. But that was really cool, though, that Hall of Fame moment that we played. 22 to whatever the score was in Old Vet Stadium. Tom Hume was just
home runs.
2 of those were actually from Eddie Taubensee in that game, who we've had on the show. We need to get him back on. He's always a good guest to have on. We've had a couple of those guys on. They talked about Dimitri Young. We had him on a couple years ago at Reds Fest. So it's hard to believe. That audio, first of all, sounded like it was from, I don't know, the 40s or something, and it was, I don't know, what, not that long ago, it was in the 90s that happened. It's like, oh, okay. That was, I don't know, it's just odd. It's like when you see something on TV that's not in high def, like even something in like 2002 or 2001, and you see like a replay of maybe like a news story, and you're like, man, did we think that was like, I mean, it looks like it's from the 40s or something, because it just looks so grainy in the footage. And you look back at like old videos, like music videos, those were a thing, kids.
Yeah.
You look back at those, if you ever see them on YouTube or something, and it ends up being like just this really weird, like, man, we sat around and watched that for hours because it just looks so grainy and just so weird. So I don't know.
Have the Reds even scored 22 runs this season?
Probably not. Maybe in a doubleheader combined. maybe they'll do that again today in a doubleheader. Who knows? Who knows what will be going on? Also, too, just to kind of recap that, the doubleheader starts today at 3:10 Central. Game 1 is Darvish versus Bauer. I'm interested in seeing that game. And then also Game 2, Alec Mills versus TJ Antone. Antone's been having a heck of a little season here for a guy that really wasn't supposed to be doing much. And I don't want to say it was just kind of like a guy on the outskirts, but he's really stepped in there to help the Reds out, whether it's been an injury, do a spot start, some long relief. So good things going his way with what's been going on with TJ Antone. Really like what I'm seeing. This week, Todd, of course, shortstop Jose Garcia gets the call-up. Now, he had his first base hit and his first at-bat, which was like a seeing eye infield single down the third base line, and it ended up hitting the third base bag. And then he also went on to steal some bases, and he's been having some great defensive leather, if you will, in the field. And Barry Larkin also claimed that he is the next great Reds shortstop. Big things you think out of him, Todd?
I hope so. He looks good so far. He has a lot of upside. So,
and I know one of your favorite guys, Suarez, is finally getting back to his 2019 form. He had a big homer last night, big hits. He's getting his average back up there. He and Winker, of course, had big games last night. We were talking about Winker now hitting 341, but Suarez finally coming back around. He struggled so much, and you knew it was just a matter of time. And when we had Sam LeCure on a couple weeks ago, he says, everybody knows that Suarez can do it. He can get back to himself, I guess, back in his 2019 form. So really, he's finally doing that. So he was, I think, maybe just overthinking things. So I know Suarez is one of your favorite guys.
Yeah, he is. He'll get it straightened out. And this team, top to bottom, offensively, they're loaded.
They really are.
They need a little more offensive production out of the catcher spot. But, they have a lot of options. They need to reel off some wins.
Yeah, they really do. So, also last night, Cody Reed was traded. It was actually like mid-game. This is just some kind of interesting news because they traded for pitcher Riley O'Brien. Now, if you're familiar with that name, he pitched, of course, he's from the Rays organization. He pitched here in Bowling Green for the Hot Rods in 2018. He had a 2.05 ERA in 15 games, 48.1 innings, and a 4-1 record. And he was so good that he was only here half a season, promoted him to high A in the second half of 2018, and he really moved his way up quickly through the Rays organization. So it's good that the Reds are picking up some pitchers, and I know you and I weren't always fans of Cody Reed, to say that. I mean, he had his chance. He had so many chances. Even he was DFA'd this past week because of just bad performances and never really came around. I wish him the best. Don't get me wrong, but just never came around.
Yeah, he never was consistent at all, and so that's the last piece of the Johnny Cueto trade.
Didn't really pan out much. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just what it is. And then Robert Stevenson came back in off of the IL last night, almost blew the game for the Reds. So there's another guy that's just like everyone thought coming up through the minors that he was just going to be the greatest thing. We've had people talk about like, man, he was just lights out in the minors, but never really made the transition to the majors that well. He has flashes of brilliance, but last night about blew that game for the Reds when they brought him in to kind of close out a game that was, I don't want to say out of hand, but could have easily gotten out of hand if the Cubs, if they didn't bring in Iglesias, I can't believe I'm saying that, have to bring in Iglesias to kind of mop something up that someone else kind of made an issue out of.
I've always thought with Stevenson, what the Cowboy, I think, says, check up from the neck up.
Yeah.
It's because his stuff is incredible at times, but he just can't keep it together. He has a lot of inconsistency, just like Cody Reed did.
Well, the problem for both of them is, and again, I'm no pitching instructor, but they would get in trouble and they just couldn't get out of it. That was their problem. He's still to this day. He gets in trouble, he gets a guy on second, and all of a sudden he just implodes. So, yeah. Anyway, we are going to shut the show down. Now, next week we'll be off the air, of course, because it's Labor Day. It's hard to believe, Labor Day weekend?
I know.
Already. I know. So we'll be off the air next week, but stay tuned to our Twitter page at Redlegs Radio Rep. We'll be tweeting throughout the week, and also our Facebook page, Redlegs Radio Report. Any pertinent news you need to know about the Reds, and a lot of the news is usually just some kind of weird stat or some kind of weird observation like, hey, look, Chris Welsh's cardboard cutouts right behind home plate. Let me tweet out a picture of this.
We should have asked Hume why he didn't have a cardboard cutout.
Next time. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us here on the Redlegs Radio Report. ESPN Radio 102.7, ESPNRadio1027.com.
This copyrighted broadcast is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form.